Hi, I am Coffee Brown, and this channel is Coffee Spills the Tea. We are going to be talking about your exit strategy. It is time for us to think about moving out of the country, moving elsewhere, finding refuge elsewhere, and just perhaps just riding this out elsewhere while all this infighting and politicking is going on in this country. Now, I talked a lot about this bill that was passed in the last video that I just uploaded, and I'm now doing another video that's just going to talk about the different countries that you can go and get permanent residency immediately. So, if you want to go overseas and you're just like, look, I need permanent residency, I want a backup plan just in the event that things go south, the ish goes sideways. Where can you go? So I've looked up 7 countries that you can go to and get almost immediate permanent residency. And I will also talk about or give an idea as far as like what's the easiest and take it from easiest to hardest. So that should be hopefully something that will help with um with you if you're just like, look, I just want to get out of here as quickly as possible. So do I. Now I am going to move to Europe, but here's the thing. I also would love to have an opportunity to have multiple permanent residencies all over the place so that if something goes wrong in one place, I could maybe shift over to another place. Um, it would be easy to just say, okay, I'll go to Italy and start over and I'll just start my life there. But what if something happens there and then there's still issues in the United States? I don't want to go back. Where can I go? So, I mean, you could go to other countries like Southeast Asia, or you could go, you go to different places but everybody's got visa time constraints. And if you're like trying to jump from one place to another and you've got to move 30 days here and 90 days here and 60 days here, and maybe you have like pets or loved ones, you don't want to be schlepping your stuff all over the place. You want to have permanent residency. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So before I go any further, please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. It really does help with the analytics that they use to push this content out to other like-minded people. And then also hit that notification button so every time I upload a video, you will be notified that I have a new video. So let's go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to do is just kind of bring them in one at a time. So let me start with the first video. And I am going to hold on one second here. There it is. Boom. Okay. So I'm going to break this up a little bit more. I'm going to talk about Paraguay. Paraguay. Because Paraguay has the easiest citizenship that you can obtain. Now, I'm talking in this point about citizenship, not necessarily permanent residency, but I'm going to talk about citizenship. Then I'm going to talk about permanent residency, and then just kind of give you a flavor of it. But if you want to get citizenship the fastest, it is going to be Paraguay. So once you become a permanent resident, you would have to be a permanent resident for 3 years. Okay? You have to stay in Paraguay for at least 183 days a year for 3 years in order for you to get citizenship. Now, when I'm talking about citizenship, I'm saying I still want to keep my United States citizenship. I want to get a second citizenship. I want dual citizenship. Okay. So you have to pay taxes. and you have to learn Spanish, and you have to pass a history test. That is Paraguay. That's for citizenship. So they are the easiest country for you to live in order to get citizenship. Now, this country is the second easiest country to live in or to get permanent residency. Okay. Now, permanent residency allows you to stay in the country, like for indefinitely. Sometimes you have to apply for it, you have to reapply for it. There's all kinds of different rules that different countries have. When it comes to Paraguay, if you just want if you just want permanent residency, you just need to um put $4,500 US in a bank, or in a Paraguayan bank, not in a US bank, but in a Paraguayan bank rather. Um, and that's all you need. You just need to show that. And then once you do that, in 2 years, you'll have permanent residency. You don't have to spend any real amount of time in Paraguay in order to get permanent residency. You don't have to. You just need to kind of pay or put money in a bank account, and you come and go every now and again if you feel like it. But if you didn't feel like it, you wouldn't even have to worry about that. And so that makes things a lot easier for Paraguay than most other places. Okay. Now, does that mean that until you get your 2 year residency or your permanent residency in 2 years that you have nothing? No, you still have temporary residency. You get temporary residency within 2 to 3 weeks. And then you just wait to 2 years and then you apply for your permanent residency. Okay. So the process is pretty quick and it's pretty fast, it's pretty cheap. And look how pretty it is. You get these nice views here. They've got some ruins and just pretty. It's pretty over here, right? So it is officially the Republic of Paraguay, a landlocked American country located in the central region of South America. There it is. There it is. In this map I showed right here. Landlocked country between Argentina, Brazil, and Bolivia, home to swaths of swampland, subtropical forest, and was it cacao? Wilderness comprising savanna and scrubland. Okay, so it looks like a pretty nice place. I have not heard of a lot of people going to Paraguay, but I say if you're looking to get out of here and you want to get it is again the quickest way for you to get citizenship, but the second quickest way for you to get permanent residency. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Okay, so when it comes to citizenship, again, let's go to the next one, which I believe is it's Argentina. 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 Here it is. So Argentina is the second country, the second easiest citizenship. So that's a second passport for you to get. It takes 2 years. Now, Paraguay takes 3 years. 3 years as a permanent resident for citizenship. Argentina takes 2 years. Why is it easier for Argentina for Paraguay other than Argentina? Like, why is it more than Paraguay? Because Argentina is going to require that you reside in the country continuously. Okay. Now, you need to have some basic Spanish proficiency. But here's the thing. If you think you can just roll in Argentina, like you can do in Paraguay, and just throw some money at it and then walk out, and then come back in 2 years and get your citizenship, no, they're going to reset the clock. So you really have to have your physical presence there in Argentina. And that's why it is the second easiest citizenship to obtain. Okay. Behind Paraguay. But you're still going to be able to get it and relatively easy. Okay. Now, when it comes to Argentina, when it comes to getting um your permanent residency, it is the fourth easiest country where you can get permanent residency. Permanent residency. Okay. If you want to get permanent residency, you need to have an income of at least $1,000 a month. That's all. You don't have to put a stick of money into any kind of investment. So you don't have to start a business there. You don't have to invest in a house. You don't have to invest in some other business. You just need to have $1,000 a month in income. Now you'll get temporary residency right away, but but it's going to take you 2 years to get the permanent residency. You have to physically reside in Argentina in order to get that permanent residency. Okay? A little bit of bureaucracy, but it is still relatively easy for you to get that permanent residency. And so I would say, like, you know, keep in mind that the important thing is, regardless for Argentina, whether you're going to get permanent residency or whether you're going to get citizenship, is that the key is you have to have continuous time living in that country. You can't just come and go. Okay. And again, look how pretty. Look how pretty it is. It's got really nice wild nature, and you can see they've got clearly they have culture, and they've got malls. I'm not saying that these people don't, and I'm not making any assumptions about it being some kind of weird place, but you can see it's very modern over there. You could be happy and looks almost like uh like a little slice of Europe over there. Pretty. I would not mind living there. Argentina, officially the Argentine Republic, is a country in the southern half of South America. It's the second largest country in South America after Brazil, fourth largest country in the Americas, eighth largest country in the world. Okay. So, not a bad place for you to land if you're saying to yourself, I would love to get citizenship, or I would love to get, well, at least permanent residency. Okay, let's talk about Uruguay. Now, Uruguay has it is the third easiest citizenship, as in a dual citizenship, a second passport, the third easiest. Okay. So the time it takes for you to get to permanent residency is 3 years, but or sorry, the time to get citizenship after you get your permanent residency is 3 years. Or actually, let me take that back. 3 years. 3 years if you're married, 5 years if you're single. Okay. Now, if you're going for citizenship, the thing that you want to keep in mind is that you have to be in Uruguay 6 months out of the year. 6 months out of the year. You have to show that you have integrated into society. I don't know what they're going to do. Probably maybe like a history test or something along those lines. You have to show that you have income, but they don't get real specific about the income. Yeah. And you're going to have to do a language test because they're going to interview you. They're going to interview you. Okay. So you want to keep that in mind, because when they do the interview and they start blah, 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 in um what do they speak, Spanish? You better know a little bit of Spanish. You're not going to get in there. Okay. So again, keep that in mind. When you have to 3 years if you're married, 5 years if you're single, after you get your permanent residency. After you get your permanent residency. Now, when it comes to getting your permanent residency, Uruguay is the third easiest permanent residency that you can get. You have to show an income of $1,500 a month. Now, they said it's an option. It's optional, but you can invest $380,000 in Uruguay, but it's optional. Now, here's what this one I like. As soon as you arrive, as soon as you arrive, you get permanent residency. And when you have, like, when they like check for you, they're just going to show that they're just going to ask you, are you going to, are you going to be here? Like, you're going to stay, you're going to stick around? You're going to be like, yeah. And they're going to be like, okay. Okay. So, you apply for the permanent residency on arrival. You can get it. And then, like I said, citizenship after 3 to 5 years, depending on if you're married or not. Now, they said you have to show intent to reside. But here's the thing. If they ever check up on you and you're not where you say you are, they might come for you. They might reset the clock. Not come for you, but they might reset the clock. So you have to be a little bit careful with Uruguay. Uruguay. You got to be a little bit careful with them. Because there's a reason why there's a little bit of difficulty to get your to get or to maintain. Like it's number 3 on the list as far as it's time to permanent residency as well as for citizenship. There's a reason for that because you have to show intent of staying. And if they find out that you're not there, I mean, I'm clearly you don't have an intent to stay, you could easily lose everything. So I would be careful with that. It's easy, but you know, they may be checking on you. Okay. And so look how pretty this is as we're like kind of talking. Like, again, modern. This looks very much like you're living in a Mediterranean. You see these nice white houses like if you're in Greece. It even looks like a Greek flag, which is interesting. Cobblestone streets, like if you're living in Europe. That kind of reminds me of Santa Monica, or being in Venice or Santa Monica. Yeah, Santa Monica, the pier out there in Santa Monica. Yeah, the pier. So, this is a really nice place. It is a South American country known for its verdant interior and beach-lined coast. The capital, Montevideo, revolves around Plaza Independencia, once home to a Spanish citadel. Okay, so yeah, so look, there's like an old city with deco buildings, colonial homes, and then there's like an old port market with steak. I mean, beautiful. How could you lose if you end up in Uruguay? And again, you just got to show some intent. Just got to show some intent, and then you're good to go. Okay, so that is Uruguay. Let's go for the next one. Ecuador. Ecuador. Here it is. And let me just bring this down just a tiny bit so you can see that. The whole thing. So we can look at that all together. So you have to you can apply for citizenship. It is the fourth easiest the fourth easiest citizenship you can get, as in I want to get a second passport, second citizenship. So you have to spend 3 years as a permanent resident before you can apply for citizenship. You have to live here 180 days out of the year in order to get that citizenship. You have to show ties. You have to show that you have income in Ecuador. You have to take a Spanish test. You have to take a civics test. Okay. So it is not easy, but it's not hard. Okay? But you have to have a moderate physical presence. You gotta be there 6 months, 6 months out of the year. Now, or 180 days. Is that right? Is that 6 months? Yeah, that's 6 months. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like not so bad. I could do 6 months out of the year there. And then maybe here's a fun thing. And this is something I'm just throwing out there. What if, if you can get citizenship and you have to do 6 months out of the year and you said, hey, I'll do 6 months and I'll live in Ecuador. Then I'll take 6 months and I'll go to like like Uruguay, where remember I said you got to live there 6 months out of the year. And then after 3 years in Ecuador, you can get your Ecuadorian citizenship. And then once you get that, right, then pop over to Uruguay and then put your last 2 years, if you're single, in your is that right? Uruguay? Yeah, Uruguay. But your last 2 years there and then get your citizenship. But if you're married, it's 3 and 3. Or not 3 and 3. If you're not married, you could pop right on over to Uruguay and get that third passport immediately. Now, when I mean married, I mean you're married to like a citizen of that country. Not that you're like physically married to someone and saying, oh yeah, if you're married, you only have to. Okay, so does that make sense? You have to be married to a citizenship or a citizen of that country if you want to get citizenship. But wouldn't that be wild if like you said, hey, um, I'm just gonna get that, and within 5 years, you've got three passports. That would be something. Okay. So Ecuador, you have to spend 3 years as a permanent resident, and then you get to get citizenship. Citizenship. Now, it is the fifth easiest permanent residency that you can get. For that, you have to spend 21 months. 21 months there in Ecuador. You have a higher income that you have to prove. You have to make at least $1,275 a month. So it's between $1,275 and $1,425 a month. You have to show that in income. You don't have to make an investment or deposit, but you do have to show that in income. It takes you 21 months to get your permanent residency. So that actually would, but you probably would get your Uruguay citizenship first, because remember in Uruguay, you get the permanent residency upon arrival, and then you just have to wait the 3 years to get if you're married in 5 years for citizenship. It's going to work its way out. But basically, you can get three passports, or you can have three passports in 5 years. I'd go for it. Okay. Anyways, let's go back to Ecuador. Um, so, um, yeah, so you got to wait 21 months in order for you to get your to get your permanent residency. And once you get your permanent residency, it becomes a little bit harder because you can't be outside of Ecuador more than 90 days in that 21-month period. So you can plan it correctly. If you're like going to be back and forth to the United States or wherever, plan it correctly so that you're like just popping in and out real quick, so that you don't have that issue. And as you can see, look how pretty Ecuador is. A lot of mountainside, good nature, a lot of nature. Like, what is that? That looks like a crater from a volcano, which would be really cool. Okay. And just nice, pretty. Definitely we've got some I wouldn't say ruined. That doesn't look like ruins because it doesn't look ruined, but um definitely some places to go of interest. And it says here, Ecuador is a country straddling the equator on South America's west coast. Its diverse landscape encompasses the Amazon jungle, the Andes highlands, and the wildlife-rich Galapagos Islands. If you want to go to the Galapagos, don't be taking anything off the Galapagos. It's against the law. So yeah, look on the capital, or there's a capital where it has a largely intact Spanish colonial center with decorated 16th and 17th century palaces and religious sites. That's pretty. I can see, and look how close it is to the water. Boy, you're gonna have good time. And there's the equator right there. Nice and warm. Nice and warm. I would not be upset if I ended up in Ecuador. Ecuador. I want to say that like correctly. Let's go to Brazil. Brazil. Here it is. Okay. So in Brazil, it takes you have to be a permanent resident for 4 years before you can become a citizen. And by citizen again, I mean I'm getting a second passport. Yes, you can take some short trips, but they better be short trips. You have to have moderate physical presence and integration require or integration in Brazil rather. Okay. So that one is the fifth easiest citizenship as an American that you can get. Okay. Now it is the seventh easiest permanent residency that you can get though. And why is that? Because look, they require that you have to have $1,500 to $2,000 a month of income. You're not required to have some kind of investment of any kind, but it takes you 4 years to get permanent residency. 4 years. They're not real strict on whether or not you have to show your presence being in the country, which is nice. Now, remember, this is also Brazil, and I only know this from talking to friends. There's a little bit of bureaucracy in Brazil. Things are going to go kind of slow. And so you got to be ready for that as well. Now, when it comes to the income requirements, if you have a digital nomad visa, it's $1,500 a month. If you are a retiree, they want you to show that you have $2,000 a month in passive income, as in Social Security, or if you have retirement benefits, you have to show that you've got the $2,000, which is odd because usually the digital nomads have to show more, and pensionados or people who are retirees have to show less. So that's different. And by digital nomad, you need to make sure, and we'll talk about this a little bit later on, that you have the correct kind of job, because not any job, even if you work remotely, is going to allow you to just fly out and go live in another country. So you need to be careful on that. And actually, for all of these, consult with an immigration lawyer and a tax attorney that knows this country as well. Okay. All right, so let's look. Look how pretty this is. Look how they've got the little cable cars, and they've got these oceans, and they've got all of these they've got nature and very pretty beaches, and look how pretty that is. Modern, they're probably into football, which we know is soccer. Brazil, officially the Federative Republic of Brazil, is the largest country in South America, is the world's fifth largest country by area, and the seventh largest by population with over 212 million people. I had a friend in college that was from Brazil. She was cuckoo. She was crazy. I loved her. And I would have kept in touch with her, except I had moved over, or I went overseas to do my study abroad, and we just lost contact. And I felt so bad. I tried so hard to get in touch with her. She never, ever, like, ever ate food. She only smoked cigarettes. And when her brother came to visit, he brought a suitcase full of her cigarettes. And she drank. She drank and smoked, and that's it. I don't ever recall her eating food. So I would love Brazil. And she worked for, I think, Cosmopolitan. I think she's like a like was a writer for Cosmopolitan. Loved her. Okay. So I'm telling you, if you can go to Brazil and live in Brazil, I would not be mad being in Brazil. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is Panama. Panama. And now that's a Van Halen song, but I'm singing it and it wasn't a really good sound, so I'm sorry. All right. So, oh no, no, not Panama. Is that Panama? Yeah. When it comes to citizenship, I think Mexico is easier. Mexico is easier. And they just closed things out for Mexico. It used to be much easier. They had this redundancy thing they did, and unfortunately the redundancy ended. And so that would have probably pushed it up a little bit higher, but um it's okay. It's okay. Um when it comes to citizenship, um when it comes to citizenship, uh it takes 5 years after you get your permanent residency in order for you to um, get citizenship. 5 years. Okay. You have to live in Mexico. This is not going to be one where you can go in, jump out. You have to live in Mexico. You have to take a Spanish test. You have to take a civics test. You can apply in 5 years. But here's the fun thing. It could take up to 6 years for you to actually get the citizenship. So basically, in 5 years, you can apply, but it could take another year before you actually get that citizenship. So I think this has to do with bureaucracy more than anything, and that's why it takes so long. But I have met a lot of people and I that have moved to Mexico and they just freaking love it. So I say, why not? If it's making that many people happy, can't be that much wrong with Mexico. It's the sixth easiest citizenship to get. It's also the sixth easiest permanent residency to get. You have to have an income requirement. It's pretty steep of $2,600 to $4,500 a month. $4,500 a month. Okay. You could also just show that you have $180,000 in savings, and that'll work for them too. Now you're going to get temporary residency for up to 4 years, and then you can apply for your permanent residency. Once you get your permanent residency, right? Then, and you're saying to yourself, yeah, no, I want to get some citizenship. Remember, when it comes to citizenship, first you get your temporary residency, you're going to get your citizenship, and then you have to spend 5 years with your permanent residency before you can start your citizenship application, and then it can take up to a year before you actually get your citizenship. So what is the time frame for this? About 10 years. Okay. But looking at the pictures, and I've been to Mexico many times. I have never been to the Fidel Castro Museum, which is weird, but I have been to a few of these places. I believe that's Mexico City. Um, Tulum, I've been there. Yep. Chichen Itzu, which you cannot climb anymore. So don't go climbing it. They will take you away. Okay. But they have a lot of archaeological stuff. They have a lot of beautiful places where you can go. I love the train stations there. It's pretty. If you want to be in the heat, you can be in the heat. If you want to be in a cool part of Mexico and you can be in the mountains, you can live in the mountains. It is a fantastic country. So Mexico, officially the United Mexican States, is a country in North America. It is the northernmost country in Latin America and borders the United States to the north and Guatemala and Belize to the must be south. Okay. So that's Mexico. Okay. And then we'll go to Panama, which is last. Okay. Now, when it comes to Panama, there's a couple of things. Well, it is the hardest of all seven. So the seventh easiest, basically seventh easiest passport for us, but of all the seventh, from easiest to hardest, this is the hardest citizenship that you can get. It takes 5 years as a permanent resident before you can apply for citizenship. And you have to reside in Panama. They're going to check. Okay. They're going to test you. You have to do a Spanish test. You have to do a not a citizenship, a civics test. Okay. And so it's a little bit of it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Now they've got some bureaucracy as well, which is why it is one of the hardest ones to get. When it comes to getting your permanent residency, though, you no big deal, or not no big deal, but a little bit easier, a little bit easier. It is ranked as the number one easiest permanent residency you can get. You have to have an income requirement of $1,000 to $3,000 a month. You have to go put $5,000 in a bank account. It could take, you can get that permanent residency immediately, but there's no guarantee of that. And it could take up to 2 years for that. But again, you can get residency like within a few months. Now, here's what if you are a retiree, you can get permanent residency immediately. As soon as you get there, permanent residency, you're in as a retiree. Pensionado, I think sometimes they call it. You only have to visit once every 2 years to maintain your status. Once every 2 years. Look, you come in, you get your residency, and I've heard of people going to Panama and getting their residency within within a week, within a few days. They'll like book for about a month, or it's not a month. They'll book for a week, go on there for vacation. They go in there. The first day they go in there, they immediately apply for permanent residency, and by the end of the week, they have it. They stay a few more days and they head out. And then they'll just pop back in every now and again. Okay. So you put $5,000 in a Panamanian bank. There's your tie to Panama. If you're pensionado, you only need $1,000. Like I said, $1,000 a month. Okay. You only have to go once every 2 years. And you've got your citizenship. Or sorry, your permanent residency. Your permanent residency. I'm sorry about that. Your permanent residency. So it is the easiest permanent residency for you to get. So I think if you're a pensionado, if you're a retiree, and you've got $5,000 that you can spare, and you can put in a Panamanian bank account, I would do it. I'd go there and I would, if you're just looking for permanent residency, I would go to Panama, put $1,000 or as a retiree, show if you've got a retirement portfolio and you can show you've got that $1,000, just show up. Put your $5,000 in your bank account. Apply for your permanent residency. As soon as you got it, you're done. You only have to put, you only have to go in one day every 2 years. It's fast. Pew pew. So why not? Now, um, so here's Panama. Pretty. Look, beautiful waters, beautiful beaches, nice ruins, nice Latin American influences, pretty and modern and just beautiful, just beautiful. Okay. Paraguay. Panama is a country on the isthmus, or yeah, the isthmus linking Central and South America. The Canal, a famous feat of human engineering, cuts through its center, linking the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean to create an essential shipping route. Okay. I would not be mad if I lived in Panama. Not at all. Look, Costa Rica's right there. That's good stuff. There's Nicaragua. I'm there. Venezuela, Ecuador, Colombia. A lot of Black people love going to Colombia. I looked it up. It seems like it's a little bit difficult. So I was just like, I don't know about Colombia, but there's people that love Colombia. Okay, so those are your options. If you're saying, hey, I want to get a second citizenship, or I just want to get permanent residency. Because here's what, things are happening here in the United States. People are scared. I don't blame them. I'm scared. I'm not, like 100% confident that once they finish coming for those brown people, they're not going to start coming for these brown people. And I want to be able to make sure that I have an escape route. Like, I was just like at my gym, like looking at emergency exits. If I had to make an exit, like, where do I need to go? I remember what I said in an early video. I don't know, a few months ago. I think when I first started making these videos, I think my third video in, I said, look, when this man comes to power and he comes in, we're going to have to start carrying our papers. This is going to have to go back to when it was like Jim Crow days, and we're going to have to just start carrying our papers to prove who we are. So I'm going to remind everybody, you need to get your real ID. If you don't have it, go get it. Get your birth certificate. You have to go to the state where you were born and go to either the Department of Health or wherever the statistics Vitale, I can't remember what it's called. But you have to order your birth certificate. Once you get that, you get your real ID, immediately turn around and just apply and get your passport. Just do it all at once and get it out of the way. And then you don't have to worry about it. And then start making plans. I'm giving you the information, but what I would like for you to do is go out and do the research. You're going to have to seek a tax attorney, one that's familiar with the country you're interested in. You should look for an immigration attorney and find one. Or find a company that specializes, one that has a good reputation, that specializes in helping you to, there's my dog, helping you to move to countries like that or establish residency in those countries. Okay. So now you have a plan. If you're like, look, I just want to get permanent residency very quickly, what can I do? Or, temporary residency is good. Temporary residency is good, especially if you can just pop in and out. But if you want to get permanent residency, yes, you can do that too. If you want to get citizenship quickly, yes, you can do that too. Start making a plan. Do not wait for the sky to start falling before you've made your plans. Okay, on that note, uh, this is Coffee Brown, and again, my channel is Coffee Spills the Tea. Today, I'm spilling tea on how you can get the H up out of here because things are starting to go south. Okay. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so every time I upload a video, you will get that notification and be able to watch that video as well. And please share this video with your friends and start making your plans. Stay safe. And until that next video, I will see you later. Bye.